How's it going, everyone? Got a lot of PlayStation news to go over in this video. We've got a couple of PS5 upgrades that have just dropped that I want to go over. Little bit of a surprising set of physical releases will be coming. We'll talk about that. And I've been playing Sonic X Shadow Generations, you guys. The game is awesome. You can have your complaints about the price point. The game has also achieved a fairly quick sales milestone for a game like this. We'll talk that at the end of this video. But right off the top, a couple of free PS5 upgrades to go over. Darksiders 2 Definitive Edition. I hate that name, but that upgrade is available now. Kind of an upgrade that came out of nowhere, but a nice little upgrade for that. Darksiders is one of those IPs that I feel like hasn't gotten the attention it deserved. I remember when Darksiders 1 came out and it was being called God of War mixed with Legend of Zelda, and I just thought that put way too high of expectations on the game, but it still resonated at a decent level, but I feel like it deserves a little bit more popularity. Darksiders 2 is available now. The game is seeing a 50% off discount for $15, but if you have the PS4 version of the game, which I imagine a lot of you guys do, it is available as a totally free upgrade. This upgrade edition of the beloved action-adventure brings 4K resolution, ray tracing, and enhanced lighting and shadows to harness the power of today's consoles. If you're playing on PlayStation 5 with a DualSense controller, you'll also get to experience the full impact of haptic feedback, adding extra depth and immersion to every strike as death. The game's loading times have been drastically improved thanks to SSD technology, ensuring a smoother experience overall. The upgrade notes stunning visuals, experience this feature and content-rich action-adventure in beautiful 4K, enhanced by the use of ray tracing and delivering vastly improved lighting and shadows haptic feedback. Each one of Death's attack and abilities are felt in your hands with the immersive haptic feedback of the DualSense wireless controller. Fast loading. Darksiders 2 Definitive Edition takes advantage of fast loading using the ultra high speed SSD. So you've got all of that. The game is fairly good, but I probably wouldn't say spend $14.99 on it, just on the basis of the game has been on sale for like $4 for the PlayStation 4 version. So the issue is, every time an upgrade like this releases, usually the value of the game appreciates. We saw that with Witcher 3, and I believe we'll see that once again with Darksiders 2, since they're outlining there's a 50% discount for $15, so I don't think it's going to go on sale for like $4 anytime soon, but hey, if you've waited all this time to play Darksiders 2, you could probably wait a little bit longer to get it in the bargain bin, and it's going to be a worthwhile playthrough. Also, they do have the collection, Darksiders, the War Collection, I forget the exact name of it, but it includes Darksiders 1 and 2, and that's usually a pretty good pickup. That's usually represented in our deals videos as well whenever it's discounted. Also, another upgrade available, Minecraft's native PS5 port is available, a free upgrade for PS4 version as well. That's on the PlayStation Store. It's Minecraft. I'm not big into it, but I know a lot of people are, so there you go with that. Minecraft's PS5 version is finally available, been in the works for quite a while. Moving on from that, I also do want to note Resident Evil 2, Resident Evil 3, and Resident Evil 7 Biohazard are all getting physical releases over on PlayStation 5. So these are PS5 boxes, everything like that. Now, they are priced at $29.99, which I think is a little bit pricey, to say the least, given that the Resident Evil 2 remake digitally goes for about $9.99, but I know a lot of you guys these days are very much against getting your digital games, so if you want the game physically, you'll have the opportunity to do so. Ideally, the route you probably want to go is to get Resident Evil 2, 3, and 7 on sale. But, you know, usually physical games, unless it's like Black Friday, they don't hit a $9.99 price threshold. But, you know, if it's $14.99, I mean, all three of these games are really good. Resident Evil 2 as a remake was absolutely tremendous and really started the wave of Resident Evil remakes getting made. Resident Evil 3 was fine. Like, I did enjoy it, not as much as Resident Evil 2. Now, to be fair, with RE2 and RE3, I don't have an affinity and an attachment towards the original releases, so for me, Resident Evil 3 was a fine experience, not as good as RE2, but I know that people that did have an attachment towards Resident Evil 3 were felt a little bit disappointed by Resident Evil 3. They felt a little bit disappointed, I should say. Resident Evil 3 also tried to do an online gimmick, Resistance, I believe it was called. That didn't really go anywhere. It is what it is as far as that's concerned. And then Biohazard is great. Biohazard, to me, was the game that reinvigorated Resident Evil as an IP. Came out back in January of 2017, and since then, man, Resident Resident Evil has been firing on all cylinders, and you get consistent releases as well. You had RE7 in 2017, into RE2 in 2019, RE3 in 2020, I believe Resident Evil Village was 2021, and then the RE4 remake was 2023. Like, that is an incredibly consistent lineup of titles, and remember, Village and Biohazard both got DLC content as well, so they've been rolling out the Resident Evil content pretty consistently. And prior to Biohazard, like, Resident Evil 6 left a lot of people disappointed. I didn't think the game was, like, absolutely abysmal. It was, like, kind of comedic, to be perfectly honest, as a Resident Evil title, and I always beat the drum of Resident Evil Revelations. I think that game is super, super underrated, and is actually a very, very well done game. Definitely one worthwhile to play. So if you're looking for your physical copies, remember, these games have been available on PS4. I have the physical copies of all of these on PS4, and they are free upgrades, but if you want, like, a PS5 native copy, where the PS5 version is right on disc, you'll have that option to get that sometime soon. And lastly, I do want to note, Sonic X Shadow Generation sales have topped 1 million copies sold in just 24 hours. Now, bear in mind that the Deluxe Edition did have the early access gimmick attached to it, and the Deluxe Edition was actually pretty decent because you get the movie pack DLC, and it was only $10 more versus, like, Sparking Zero. We spent $30 more for the early access, but in the case of Sparking Zero, I saw a lot of people paying for the early access. Sonic X Shadow Generations, I didn't see as many people paying for it, but 1 million copies sold for a remaster, and to be fair, you do have that Shadow campaign baked in there. That's an incredibly successful number, and once again goes to show that, man, Sonic is swinging. It is doing incredibly well. Given that when I was growing up, Sonic was at a little bit of a, let's just say, not at the greatest level. Like, you did have Generations in 2010, but then you had games that didn't resonate as much, like a Secret Rings, which I know a lot of people did like, but Black Knight, Unleashed, and there are fans of all of those games, but those games to me weren't that great, especially Unleashed. Unleashed, I thought the werewolf levels, I'm sorry, those levels were not good to me whatsoever. I am playing Sonic X Shadow Generations right now, the Shadow campaign, to be exact, because that's totally new content. I think it's awesome. They have done such a good job with it. It's not super, super lengthy from what I've heard, but you do have kind of like a hub world that is reminiscent of the Frontiers content, and man, if you want to play Sonic Generations, if you have interest in playing that game and you're interested by the Shadow campaign that's included, you know that Sonic games aren't going to give you 30-40 hours of content, but man, if you're a fan of platformers, this is a great, great collection. Sonic X Shadow Generations is a title that combines two games, Sonic Generations, where you can enjoy speedrunning various stages with classic Sonic and modern Sonic enhanced with new elements, and Shadow Generations, a completely new game featuring the dark hero Shadow racing through dynamic environments. The story begins as a mysterious creature called the Time Eater creates distortions in time and space, setting off separate adventures for Sonic and Shadow. Players can look forward to a high-speed action adventure with distinct gameplay experiences and narratives. It does seem like Sega is trying to annualize Sonic as an IP, which annualizations of franchises can always be a little dicey, but I think if they do things like, okay, 2022, you had a game like Frontiers. 2023, you had Sonic Superstars. 2024, we have this remaster baked in with a smaller experience. 2025, maybe it'll be a Frontiers 2. 2026, could you imagine something like a Sonic Adventure remake? I think if you keep it where every title is fresh and somewhat distinct from one another, I do think annualizations of franchises can work. Look at Like a Dragon. You're getting Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth in 2024. 2025 is a totally different experience with Like a Dragon Pirate Yakuza in Hawaii. If you keep the experiences distinct, I don't think annualization is a big problem. And to be perfectly honest, I was loving the Assassin's Creed games every year back in 2009, 2010, 2011. If the games are of quality, I don't have a problem with annualization, and with Sonic, I do feel like there has been a consistent level of quality output. Even if Sonic Superstars wasn't amazing and you could look at that game being a little overpriced, I still thought it was a fairly decent game. I thought Frontiers was great, and this game I think is very, very good. Again, price point might be the point of contention where it is a remaster and this smaller experience, but man, I think it's worthwhile, and at the very least, it's gonna go on sale for Black Friday, and I'll make sure to let you guys know about that. If it's down to $35 for Black Friday, man, that's a spicy deal that I strongly, strongly recommend. So would highly recommend checking out Sonic X Shadow Generation. But that'll do it for me. Again, Darksiders 2 and Minecraft get native PS5 upgrades. Resident Evil 2, 3, and Biohazard are getting physical releases for PlayStation 5, and Sonic X Shadow Generation's already cracking 1 million copies sold. Guys, I'm loving it, having a great time with it. If you're a fan of Sonic, you'll enjoy it as well. Sound off with all of your thoughts in the comment section down below. As always, thank you for watching, and goodbye. Hey guys, we hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, make sure to hit the subscribe button, and if you're already subscribed, do us a favor and hit the bell icon. This way you'll be notified whenever we post a new video. That's the best way to keep up with all of our uploads, and we usually try to upload 2 videos a day. And with the bell icon hit, you'll be notified whenever we do upload a video. As always, thanks for watching.